We have shut off the door. We're not which means
literally, I swear that I picked up the second I pulled it in the one.
what are we giving away? You get off. There are a few people in here that can't get into the theater.
You got banned? You cannot write his name anymore.
If I pull it into the theater, it's getting learning.
Every week.
But you guys are all regarding medically, and now all of our first time games. So
The best class.
it was the best class in the world. Sean, pick away. You remember it, somebody else.
Not being nervous.
Yeah. Put her on that list too. No Peter and no Ann. Welcome, you guys. Hope you're all making it in today. Yes, the rain is cold. Yes. But what does rain bring? Spring flowers. And what do spring flowers bring? Listen. Listen, you want to listen. Commission. It also brings foundation damage. I'm dealing with that on right now. It's good and it's bad, but we're grateful that it is here. You guys, last week I was at Dallas, and one of the things they suggested is in lieu of something of gratitude, right? And we might pivot to this and see it next week or the week after. But what do you have to be grateful for? Go ahead.
I woke up earlier today to see that my neighborhood was flooding because downtown not getting extended far enough.
They buy a house.
Just deciding that
You have a reason to be grateful this morning. Anybody else?
Still made it here.
You have. What are your
Linda, and all the hard work that she has given us. Here.
Well, in this sense, we're here. Do you want to come on up and say something? Well, come on down.
Want to say thank you everyone for being here in this awful weather. I've enjoyed working with you and knowing all of you. I've enjoyed and I'm thankful for all the smiles and laughter we've had over the years. I've known some of you for 6 years. I've been here and I'm gonna miss you. I'm gonna miss you all so much. You're like my family, and I wish you all the best, all the best and happiness.
We have pizza and we have margaritas after this. Great. She loves her margaritas, so we're definitely margaritas. You can only have one. Right?
I just want to just add to that, like, we will miss you so much, Linda, just opening that door every time I come out here to your big smiley face and your hugs and your support. It's gonna be really, really missed.
We're gonna miss you. So join us afterwards, you guys can celebrate. We're gonna have some fun. I think there's some other things coming too, so. All right, before we move from gratitude, I want one thing. We learned something in the last week about our business. Go ahead, Lisa.
Okay. I've learned a lot. All these stupid contracts that we have to do all the time, everything we have to go over, so many pieces of paper, it all just seems too much. When you have a problem, that's when they all come into play. So there's a reason for that. Seller's disclosure. We didn't like do a seller's disclosure, an inspection, or alternative, I'm your agent, this is how I'm gonna operate, like, they're really important.
Yeah. Well, so that's a good thing to learn, right? Sometimes when we feel like there's a whole lot of bullshit, sometimes it matters because in the end, you have a contract that you can say, nope, it says so right here. Which is nice to be able to pull off of from your seller, from the buyer decided not to go further to closing. That's what I learned this week. So yeah. I learned the difference between a statutory and a declaratory cancellation. So that was fun too. So sometimes people don't do what the contract said they would do, and then you have to make them do that. I just sent Grant over and he took care of it. Not only is he a handyman, but he's a handyman.
That's Tom.
Indeed, we're in the mouth. You say it like that, it sounds like. As long as the guy, you know, some people decide to make a decision, you said you would close by the 9th and you didn't, so now I'm. His middle name is Carl. How about anybody else? I saw a couple other hands. Stella, I saw your hand.
Well, I just learned a lot last week, just, preparing for different things and helping different people. Yeah. Really every second I'm learning something different.
Grant?
It's more of a reiteration to just the power of asking why, or lots of asking the question, being curious that we always talk about. You just find out so much more, and it's not that they're intentionally leaving things out. It's just not in their mind that that's the important part, when the most important part, they want to buy a home, they're ready, okay, go talk to the lender, because that's one thing I learned about earlier. Chasing a client and then finding out 18 houses later, they went to write it off, they have no money at all. Yeah, we're looking at million houses too. It was exciting. But getting there and finding out like this last one, he had a 500 credit score. However, the partner, we thought he could apply because she had a bankruptcy in the past. Could apply, makes a ton of money, good credit. We just had to wait another 30 days for the dismissal to be 2 years. Yeah. Like there was a way. Had to ask them a question. Yeah. They're like, oh, well, no, there's not a way. He thought there was, and they were like, oh, you came. And he's like, okay, because we're done. But if she buys it, this think of it. They're pretty nervous about his help.
One of the things that reminded me of is you guys understand the difference between sympathy and empathy, right? A lot of times as agents, we have a tendency to veer towards sympathy so that they like us, so that we're in agreement. But our job really is to be empathetic. Here's the story, or here's the issue. Here are the potential solutions. Here's what those solutions look like. Now you get to make a decision, right? I think sometimes what I've learned this week for me in having some conversations with our agents is one, to your point, a contract is a contract. If you think ever in a million years that you have a contract that you sign and you pass that contract up and there isn't going to be consequences to the consumer, whether it's your buyer or seller, there's consequences, right? I found that having the conversation means being solution oriented. This agent well-meaning agent wanted to jump in to defend their client, right? But in defending their client, they created more minutia to get through. Because they wanted to fight for their client. There's a difference, right? Going into that conversation and fighting for their client at a time when they needed to be specific and focused on the facts of the transaction would have made it much simpler, and they had all this minutia piled onto it because they thought, well, I needed to be there and fight for them. That's not why they hired you. They hired you to be a professional and not be emotional, right? So that you can answer the question, so that you can come to a solution, so you can help them get what they want, right? Any other things that you learned this week that somebody wants to share? All right. All right, Raina, come on down. We are grateful to have Raina as our partner.
I would say that the last time I was a team meeting sponsor was when Emmy made her transition, so we need to pick different days. Fair. I am Raina with Great North Title. Just kidding. Who knows what a mortgage is? Good. Everybody's face. That's, so I just wanted to see how quickly I could forward you. Let's get to the fun, so I kind of want to make it interactive. I always could talk about rates, programs, products, all the things. And I feel like there's a lot of education, especially in this market center. If you want to talk about specific things, I'd love to do that, but let's talk about things that kind of help us in our everyday, day-to-day business, so we're continuing to learn. So we did not plan that. That was very good.
Steve, look at me. We're firing on all cylinders here.
Yeah. Who has buyer? You can't tell me that you don't. There's no way, because I have like 30 of it. Okay, role play that a little bit, because I'm seeing that my applications for like the first time in a long time are a little bit slower the last couple of weeks. And it's mainly, now people are still buying. People that are thinking about, should I buy? Do I want to buy? Can I buy? I'm having a hard time kind of getting them like, oh, let's do this. Here's why. Who has had a buyer objection that they want to kind of talk through? Yes.
For some programs.
Yeah, so would I qualify for some program? Well, how would I handle that as a first conversation, right? Kind of my lead into that, if somebody's thinking, well, I don't know, I don't want to apply because I don't know if I apply. If you don't have the information, how would you ever know? So my response is, and this could be your response too, as you're trying to get people into your pipeline, is that's a really great question. Have you talked with a mortgage broker or mortgage professional to see what is my monthly budget? Where does your credit stand? Information is power, knowledge is power. So just kind of figuring out if you can buy now, or if you can buy in 6 months to a year, because we all need buyers in 6 months to a year, right? Just get the conversation going and loosely talk with somebody about, what do I want my monthly payment to be? What do I need my credit score to be? Gain that info. Have a lot of those conversations and trying to get people over the hump to get them to do that application. Great.
What are some good that you help with this? Because the mindset of search for a home first, then talk to the lender, because I know a lot of times like talk to the lender is the more serious part.
Yeah.
Or actually that one. We do that first, but that's what we find out of here. And it can be any time after that, but we have to have that before we can do it, because we can't do anything with them, we don't know this.
Right.
And have you different ways to break that up, to try and mindset a little bit to say, this isn't like, you're not bound, and people feel really bound into it. They don't talk about it. They gotta be ready to go. If they have to get ready, they have to go find their basement, their tax, whatever it may be. Getting around that so it doesn't feel like they're already going into buy now, so they might be years out and they don't want to do that, they wanna look out.
Yeah. It's because they're looking online, right? So all these online sites say your payment for this house is $1,200. well, I can afford that because my rent is 1,400, so why would I? Well, what they don't know is that it's usually with 20% down and things like that. So when people kind of say that, and I've actually had more people come to me lately that are looking at the financing first.
I
And
think
then,
we're seeing more of that too.
right. Well, sometimes the approval, somebody needs to move right now. They find the house, they all. And then we're scrambling for paperwork. Because, you know, guys, know how many times I hear people say, I don't get paid though. I know, you don't get the paper anymore. It's way back. However, you probably have an app or a way to download them, or you can go to your payroll department and actually get a paper. So coming up with the paperwork is challenging. And so if somebody has a house and they need to move really fast, we usually can. We can make that work. Or if it takes some time, then your kind of reply or objection reply, I would say, okay, I totally get that. Most sellers want to know that you're serious when you're going to look at houses, and we want to be sure that we're finding the right one for you. Have you talked to a lender about your finances? No, I haven't. It's a lot of work to get that paperwork together. Okay, well, we want to be sure that we're looking in your monthly price range, right? So you can afford 300,000, you think, but do you know what that monthly payment is? So you look at the budget in two different ways, monthly budget versus overall budget. I have a really nice referral group of lenders that I can connect you with that you could probably just have a conversation with today. But you want to be sure that you're right. What if you love this house and you want to have to have your pre-approval letters go along with that? But sometimes when people apply, sometimes it takes to have an approval I'm working on right now. I'm on day 14 because I've had 6 jobs and I can't get those previous work verifications. It's so hard.
This one, I just had, because they got all their stuff, but then it was, had to wait to find out bankruptcy, and then now we're in a waiting period.
Right.
So immediately when they sent me, hey, we want to buy this house, it was referral from an agent. It was like, yep, you want to see this house, you want to buy it? Like, no, like, I need to know if you have any money first. Like, Tracy, I was really upfront.
Right.
But then we got started on anything,
Yeah.
and then we got further and further. Now we're 40 days out.
And so they're so excited. They want to go, you're excited for them, and then they find out they have to wait 30 days, 60 days, 6 months. Now, it's kind of deflated a little bit, so how do you kind of get them back excited? So I always tell my clients, let's take this in stages, because if I tell you A to Z right now, you're gonna be like, "That's so much, I'll just stay living with my mom." Because it is a lot, so we like to take them in stages. And just encourage them to get the money part done as quick as they can. And if you have a good referral source or team of people that you refer to for financing, somebody can talk to them same day or the next day.
Yeah, I have a question. Last week I have a client who came to me and say, I'm pre-approval from Zillow. I never heard that before. So took me a lot of time talking to, we were calling, I'm trying to figure it out. And then I said, well, you don't talk to somebody local. But what do you can say about that? It was kind of weird for me. I didn't hear it before.
Yeah, because we see now Zillow approval, Rocket approval, they make it easy online, right? But they usually don't have a live person to talk to. And so if I were the agent in that, I'd say, oh, that's interesting. What made you want to work with Zillow or an online lender versus somebody local with potentially a good reputation, and see what they say. And then depending on what they say, your lead-in can be something like, we're going to be looking at homes at night or on the weekend. Need to make sure that you know your financing, that you are getting a competitive rate, and that your lender is reputable. I've never worked with Zillow before. Are you open to talking to somebody that would maybe be available for your timeframes too? Sometimes it's hard to get a hold of online people nights and weekends.
they were a little concerned and they uploaded all the documents and they asked for. And now they say, well, who we talk to? And I'm like, I don't know.
Who has all my documents? I mean, that would be my concern, just upload all your personal business.
They were a little more concerned, but I was like, it's nothing that I can do, just they spoke with somebody local, but they still thinking who they send all this.
So it's kind of, nobody has contacted them. That's kind of where I just rely on our local experience and just say, communication is key. Knowing your numbers is key, having a good relationship with your team. So when you're ready to make an offer, everybody is on the same page.
Yeah, add the element of your offers, the reputation that goes with it, because if I'm a listing agent and I've got 3 offers come in and one of them is a company with a pre-approval, Zillow.
Right.
I'm gonna advise my clients, because I'm pretty good at what I do. Not to take that one.
Yeah.
Like, you don't know. What you
Offer, right?
exactly.
Low versus,
You can strengthen your position. Or buyer position. Strengthen it by having a solid buyer, lender reputation. To go with.
yeah.
And the reputation will get that offer accepted.
And sometimes I guess I would say in this market, I'm still seeing a lot of my buyers go through multiple offers and things like that. And a couple times this spring, I've received the highest compliment from the listing agent. Rena, you were the lender. You knew your approval was solid. You've already been through underwriting. This is why we accepted it. But to hear that, it's like,
We call.
thank you.
If I get buyers to come to the lender, I'm on the phone with them and saying, as soon as I submit this offer, you're calling. Like, we're not messing around, it's like, oh, you do it.
Yeah.
independently. And it helps a lot when you're, even just say, hey, we're good. Like, you can trust this, like, we're there, this isn't some pre-qualification, or there's underwriting, whatever it may be. That bit of confidence the listing agent is huge. I give them, like, guys, we just got a call from this lender, you can say it. Yeah. Yeah, right. And you just, it's a good call, it's a good company, you're like, great, we got a call, they're stopped. They're showing you that they're actually solid work. I got this one in an email with no context.
And they bounce back with the rate on this one is better than rate, you're right. And you're gonna get what you pay for, and we're not gonna get the house. if you're competing against Raina's offer.
Well, and that's a good objection that I hear all the time too. Hey, Rena, I used your approval, I got the house, and then 10 days later, I went on to break.com and I found somebody 0.5% lower. I'm never the lowest, you're never the lowest, you're never the lowest. There's always somebody lower. A good objection to that as a lender and as an agent is, okay, let's talk about that. Let's talk about when your offer got accepted and what rates are. Let's compare apples to apples. There's always something we can do to lower rates and fees. But to be sure that you're having that communication between your team, lender, agent, buyer, that door is open. So hopefully they feel confident to come to you and say, let's talk about that, instead of just, no, I'm switching lenders, I found 6.25, which probably has, 3 points with it or something, just to say, let's talk about that. The objections in this market are strong and so real, whether it's rate shopping, I don't want to apply now. I want to apply now, but I have a 480 credit score, what should I do with that? I love talking through these scenarios, so if you ever come across a lot of them, let's talk, because I feel like there's always a really nice lead in to kind of get somebody to go in the direction you know they should go to, but gently. Instead of saying, next. Because we need for 6 months and every 4 years too.
First of all,
Yeah, it's easy.
first of all, Rachel, all these comments, from the closer at the table, absolutely blows my mind. After 25 years, we're still having this conversation of this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
We also saw 2008, right before the crash, right? Once a month, and we literally had a closing, and
buyers receive payments for the first, are their, payments for the first time. Oh, Ted, said my payment was gonna be 1,900. 1,900 plus taxes, plus escrow, so that's my payment. And they're finding that out at the table, oh yeah, there's HOA too. What? That's.
Yeah.
But yeah, we're still there, it's 1 month for sure. And working with somebody like you.
Yeah.
I don't have that issue at the table, but when you've got a buyer that's finding this stuff all at the table, now they feed everybody. They're mad at agent, they're mad at me, so
Yeah.
make sure you're working with lenders and know what they're doing.
Like, it's, you can, when they call in, they just say, okay, send me documents, great, here's your pre-approval, go my house. It's, you understand what this means when I send you this pre-approval. That, yep, you're approved up here, but that includes this and this and this and this. You have all these fees. Here's what it looks like. One that comes from the agent could be the part of our job to explain the financials to a good degree. You guys won't that financial. And quick mindset, and again, when they're shopping around, XYZ lender, a new build lender said, we'll do it for this, and there's 20 fees attached to it, they don't see that's actually rolled into a loan, they're actually gonna pay a bunch more money anyway, paper points. It's just never explained it.
So many things. I mean, there's so many things I can go through it and communication, clear and concise, talk about it 25 times if you have to, making sure that everybody is on the same page, but also making sure that we're guiding people, you know, lots of leads are coming in and converting them into a client and really feel is what I love about this business. As you know, I don't like talking about interest rates and somebody's like, hey, how's the rate today? I'm like. Ever. So anyway, if you're in the office and you want to chat through it. Yeah, sorry, I'm way over my time.
Oh, wait. I was just gonna say, one thing that I tend to get, more like first time buyers stuff is, well, I don't wanna apply right away. I wanna wait because I don't want it to hit my credits. Or I suggest they talk to a couple of different lenders. If that's what they want to do. And it's, oh, well, I don't want the double hit to my credit rating. Can you explain a little bit about how that?
I can, that's a really good, that's what, actually, I get that all the time. And so I can't speak for other people like in my same position, but I specifically always start with a soft credit inquiry, which doesn't hit your credit. Mainly because we don't know if you're buying now or in 6 months or a year, right? So this is just discovery. So we want to be sure that we keep your credit as high as possible for as long as possible. We start with that soft inquiry. If we need to do a hard inquiry, we can, we'll talk about that, but the soft inquiry does not hit your credit bureau. It allows you to get the information that you need and even move on to some credit repair if you need to. But again, it's just information finding and discovery stage. So you have the knowledge to then go on to step 2.
Perfect.
If it is pretty low and they're ready to move now, I might just make that suggestion, let's do a hard inquiry, but then do all of your hard inquiries pretty quickly. So I suggest if you can, always start. And then again, it's just guiding them to the next step. Pizza, I think I went overboard. I texted Nick today. I'm like, pizza's good. No. Yeah.
Thank you, Rena. All right, next up. All right, so, it is not, and my friend Simon is from Spar.
That's right.
Who are we familiar with the Spar? Okay, buddy, you're okay. All right, so, Simon is our, yeah, we want to take a shot at what a GAT is. He works for Spar as a governmental affairs. So here's the thing, something's gonna get into talking about it, but I want to give you guys a little bit of my take on this, and you guys have heard this from me before. If you are in business and you are here today, who are standing on the shoulders of the people that have come before us. And those people that have come before us have put in a very, very good program for us to have. The number one thing that the association provides in my mind is what? What's the number one thing that the association provides? You all have to believe what I believe, I guess. So when we think about our relationships, our local association, we think about our relationship with our PAC, right? With the national and state association. It starts at a local phase. Simon, as our governmental affairs director, is the one that is going to the cities to fight against anything that impinges on homeownership rights, right? Anything that is preventing us from selling properties. The first, one of the first, I can get into a lot of this, but let's welcome Simon again.
Thank you guys for having me. Yeah, I'll just be here to talk about RPAC for like 10, 15 minutes and answer any questions you guys might have after that. But first I'll introduce myself. Again, my name is Simon Opatz and I am one of SPAR's government affairs directors and have been for nearly 5 years. I graduated from Winona State University in 2016 with degrees in political science and public administration. And before I worked for SPAR, I worked on a couple political campaigns, worked in the Minnesota Senate, and then I worked as a lobbyist for the Minnesota School Association as well. So that's kind of my background before we move along here. Go to the next slide. So you might just be asking kind of what RPAC is. So I'll kind of go over the high level overview. RPAC since 1969 has promoted the election of pro-realtor candidates across the United States at every level of government, local, county, state, and national. And actually locally here at SPAR, we like to call them realtor champions. So you'll hear me refer to them moving forward. But the purpose of RPAC is clear. These are voluntary contributions made by realtors used to help elect realtor champions who understand and support realtor interests and issues within the government. So but these, just to be clear, these are not a part of your dues for SPAR or any other realtor association. These are monies given freely by realtors, recognizing the importance of the political process and the political advocacy to your business. The Realtor Political Action Committee and other political fundraising are the keys to protecting and promoting the real estate industry. So like Nick said, it's really about, making sure you guys can, help your clients find self-home as easily as possible. So you might be asking, what are RPAC dollars used for specifically? So there are 3 kind of main buckets that RPAC dollars are used for. Those are issues mobilization, independent expenditures, and for candidate endorsement. I'll give a couple examples for the issues mobilization. Basically, these are issues campaigns that we run with RPAC dollars to convince voters and elected officials to support or oppose issues that affect your guys' business. So one example is in 2021, the St. Paul voters got to weigh in on a rent control policy. And we formed a coalition with the State Association, the Minneapolis Association, and NAR, along with a couple other organizations locally here opposed to rent control, to try and convince voters that rent control was a bad policy for them. Unfortunately, we were unsuccessful in that effort, but we were able to move public opinion enough where we've had a little bit more success down the line, which I'll talk about later. Another example of issues mobilization that we've done was there were some point of sale ordinances being proposed in Spring Lake Park. Right at the beginning of my time at SPAR, we were able to convince voters to oppose those ordinances and make it easier for you guys to do business in Spring Lake Park. Independent expenditures, I'm sure you guys don't like these when you get them in the mail all the time. But this is another way that RPAC uses its money to support realtor champions in our community. Basically, this is money not directly given to candidates, but used to develop mailers and commercials of that nature to promote candidates who are for our issues. And then the last thing is candidate endorsement. It's something we do at every level of the Realtor Association. And I'll be talking a little bit more about that in a bit as well. So RPAC has a major impact on SPAR, most notably during our candidate endorsement process. 10% of all RPAC funds contributed by SPAR members comes back to SPAR to use on our local candidate endorsement process. So contributing to RPAC makes it a lot easier for me to do my job. And the other 90% is mostly utilized by the Minnesota Realtors. But some of that is used by the National Association to do RPAC orders. So I'll talk a little bit about our candidate endorsement process. This is something we do every year, and it typically begins in August when the filing deadline ends. We send a candidate endorsement questionnaire to every mayor, city council, and county commission candidate in our territory. And our territory is 12 counties and about 150 cities. Our territory makes up down to Red Wing, all the way up to Mille Lacs, east of the Mississippi River is pretty much it. So it's quite large. But we send these candidate questionnaires to every person who's running for office in that territory. I think last year it was about 700 candidates in total. And then you give them a couple weeks to fill out that questionnaire and send it back to us. Those that filled out the questionnaire reasonably well, we'll invite them in for an interview. And that's where SPAR members come in. They come in and conduct these interviews where we talk to these candidates for elected office about, you know, the issues that are most important to you guys. And what, you know, how they feel about housing and real estate and what they're going to do to promote homeownership. If you could go back. Yeah, so those interviews are conducted in September. So I would highly encourage you, if you have any interest in local politics or learning kind of what these are thinking about in terms of real estate and housing, it's a great way to kind of get those insights from them. I would highly recommend. So a couple of the RPAC wins that I just want to highlight, and feel free to chime in with some more if you got them. During the pandemic, as I'm sure many of you are aware, realtors were deemed essential, which allowed you guys to continue your business throughout the pandemic, which I think was incredibly important for you guys and everyone in the housing market. Another win for RPAC was getting that down payment assistance from the state legislature of 150 million. That allows you guys to conduct more business with your clients. I mentioned rent control before. Actually, in the last 2 weeks, RPAC helped us to develop relationships and move voters in the anti-rent control direction. And so a few weeks ago, the St. Paul City Council rolled back some of the rent control policy and exempted all units built after 2004 from that policy. And that's in an effort to increase housing inventory in the city, which will make people have to pay less in rent and will allow them to save money to hopefully one day buy a home with you guys. So,
Well, Simon, I want to mention this. So realtors considered essential in the pandemic. The first iteration of the safe harbor stay-at-home bill had us included in that. Within 24 hours, Christine, the GAD at the time, had that removed. Can you guys imagine how hard it would have been for you to do your job without being able to go out and do your job? This wasn't by chance that you guys were extracted from that. Somebody had to go and have the conversation and prove to the state that we were essential, and by not having us do our job at that time, that would plug up every economy where people are moving, we would prevent them from doing the things that they were going to do. And as most of you know, that was the best year we've ever had. Say that loud, not your head. It was the best year we've ever had. 21. We would not have had that year in our market had it not been for our relationship and our commitment from our GADs and the state and national association in order to get the politicians to move. The other thing is, this is not something I think is always important. This is not based on red or blue, Democrat or Republican. This is based on housing-related issues that directly impact your ability to sell homes and to help people have private property rights. Last that's not on here is tax on sales and service. I saw that on an earlier one. We were going to be taxed on sales. So imagine, not only are you paying an income tax, not only are you paying all your other taxes, you're gonna pay an additional 6.5%, would have paid an additional 6.5% had we not had the right support and the advocacy at the association level. So, if you guys are wondering what that means, this is one of those things that directly impacts your ability. It's not about the MLS, it's not about realtor orientation, it's a little bit about the code of ethics, it's a lot about advocacy.
So
Correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think during that essential part, every state was deemed essential either. So we were very lucky.
Yep. That's right.
Yes, very.
So our PAC contributions go a long way to helping us to advocate on your guys' behalf at every level of government. And our PAC candidates are pretty successful, and our contributions to different ballot measures around the country are pretty successful. Last year, our PAC won 75% of the housing ballot measures that it took part in, and 97% of those candidates who received our PAC contributions also won their races. So a lot of realtor champions and pro realtor candidates are getting elected into office and helping you guys conduct your business because of our contribution. So one of our goals, we got a new CEO at STAR, if you're not aware of that. Dave Walsh. And so one of the things that he's been really pushing us to do is kind of reinvigorate our PAC culture at SPAR. And so one of our goals in the next few years is to achieve this RPAC Triple Crown Award, which requires us to meet a couple criteria. The first is to meet or exceed our local share of the state's national RPAC fundraising goal, which is $145,000, and to meet or exceed our local participation criteria. You can move to the next. Unfortunately, we got quite a long ways to go on both of those, but that's kind of, one of the reasons I'm here and going around to offices like this to talk about RPAC and its importance. We've raised so far this year $47,000, and that comes from 720 SPAR members, 17 of whom have become major investors, and I'll be talking about major investors in a bit. And like I said, our goal is to get 145,000 and 100 of our members to contribute, and 35 to become major investors. Next slide. So there are kind of three main levels of becoming an RPAC investor or contributor. The first is $15. That if you contribute $15, that would be going towards our contribution percentage or our contribution goals. That's kind of the lowest recognized level. However, the PAC will take any level of contribution that you're willing to give. So you can give $1, $2, whatever. But 15 is kind of that first level where you're recognized as an RPAC contributor. The second is the $50 level, which would make you an RPAC voter. If there are RPAC committee meetings at the national level, you would be invited to those meetings and be able to vote on any issues in front of those committees at that time. And then the final level is at $1,000, which would make you a major investor, which comes with some other perks. Like if you go to the next slide, I'm not going to, spit a bunch of numbers at you, but basically there are varying major investor levels. And if you get into that president's circle as a major investor, there are different events you get invited to and different travel opportunities even that you get invited to. So those are some of the benefits other than the political advocacy that you might get if you become a Okay, definitely. So just want to talk about a few things that we're trying to do to promote RPAC a little bit more to try and reach some of those goals. We have started a couple different ways to recognize realtor champions and RPAC investors. Every month on our website and newsletters and on social media, we pick Realtor Champion of the Month, basically highlighting an elected official who has really been a champion of home ownership and private property rights, and done a lot of work to kind of help you guys conduct your business. And then we choose a RPAC Investor of the Month as well, someone who's invested in RPAC and just kind of highlighting their contributions to their community and their support of RPAC as well. And then just kind of publicizing more often the RPAC wins that we have at every level of government via our website, our newsletters, and social media. We also are trying to increase RPAC visibility around our office by having things like these QR codes around, which you'll see on the slides in a bit. We got these brochures that we're trying to produce more of. And then you'll see if you ever come to the SPAR office on lobby TVs, there's more RPAC promotion as well. And then we're doing more events. So we had a major investor event at WH Frost in St. Paul in March. And we intend to do something similar outside of St. Paul in the fall. And then we actually have the Minnesota Realtors are hosting RPAC food truck event on June 17th, which I'm happy to pass along more information. We just got notice of that in the last stuff. So just kind of in review, RPAC is not part of your dues. These are voluntary contributions that you can make to RPAC. And a vast majority of those dollars stay here in Minnesota, whether at the local level or at the state level. And they're used to support realtor champions and influence public policy to protect your guys' businesses and make buying and selling houses a more easy process. And this is especially a vital RPAC is to our candidate for the process that's far. And that takes place each year, and I highly encourage you to participate in it. And if you go to the last slide, that's a QR code. If you're interested, you can learn more on our website about RPAC. And
This is where I get to step in. Can't by law actually ask you to donate. It's weird, we live in a very different state. So, in that state, in our state, you can't ask. So, here's what we're asking, guys. To be a member of this, to get the advocacy, if you have somebody that said, I'm gonna ensure that your business is at the highest possible level, getting the support of the elected officials, this is a good opportunity for you to do that. So remember, 15 is just to participate, 50 is to be a voting member. If you're serious about your long-term investment in our business, this is an opportunity for you to make sure that we have the advocacy that we need when they come for your money. They're gonna come out someday, right? So scan the QR code, get what you can, and realize that without the people that are doing the things like Simon is behind the scenes, our industry would look vastly different. So if you don't, if you're still uncertain, go online and do some of your own research. I promise you, you're gonna find that this part of what we do is definitely a part of who we wanna be as a KW office and for you guys as professionals, so that we're supporting what it is that we do, how we do that, and the impact to homeowners. So, guys, scan the code. I only see a couple of scans, so I'm just gonna put it.
And I do want to reiterate, and thank you for bringing this up. I neglected to have a slide about this, but this is a nonpartisan, bipartisan.
No, we look for the
I think the last 2 or 3 elections, it's been about as close to 50-50 in terms of Democrat and Republican support as you can get. So just want to ease any concerns about.
When we want to fight about it, we just put the tables into a ring and then just jump in and just call people. Yeah.
Do stuff.
So, a good way. Guys, can you guys,
Did you guys help support, and fight against, when they were trying to put sprinkler systems in the new builds or in homes? To help keep the cost of that down, so that's.
Yeah, so that's not specifically my purview, but I would imagine that they were.
it was supported by Christine Berger at the time, Eric Meyer, Myers, who used to be a GAD, and then whoever the GAD was in Minneapolis at the time. So yeah, that was one of the first things, is that they were pushing for these new homes, especially the bigger ones, to have sprinklers in them, which is a really, really ridiculously high cost. And again, what's her name? Your cousin, Deanna. Deanna was, she championed that as well. So,
And that cost.
imagine that.
That cost.
It was about a $28,000 increase in pricing for a typical home. So again, imagine that problem we already have, so that was pulled off as well. So thank you for that work. Guys, give Simon a round of applause. I'm in front of his new boss and to have some of our donations from this office. Again, thank you so much, and we appreciate that.
Thank you, everyone.
All right, you guys, who wants to pay taxes? Well, for most of us, we don't have to until October, so. But if you actually like to be ahead of your business, you should be meeting, you should come through your business side and sign, Zach is gonna be here. How many of you have gone and sat through a class with BDD before? Okay, you guys, here's the thing, there are a lot of parts of our business that we need to, this is one of them. And it's not really important because it keeps you out of trouble, one, and number two, we want to minimize the amount that you tax, right? Most of us, right, like, anymore, so he's cool with that. Yeah, right? So guys, 1 to 2, be here if you want to, learn the tax strategies, you know what to do with the money that you're making. Here's the thing. You guys agree that we're at a low point in the market right now? We've been at a low point. You know, they absolutely, you know, feel that. So when the market comes up on the other end and you have more money than you know what to do with, and you're not as worried about paying your bills anymore, you're gonna wanna know how to save your money in taxes. And believe me, it's the hardest check to write is the one that you write to the government, at least in my opinion. All right, next up. Cash giveaway. Who wants cash? Yes. You also need a roommate. Yes. Right, guys, this is, I just wanna shake anybody who doesn't want to do this, because this is a really good way for very little for you to get involved, with our opportunity of a call night that's going to get people to call you. How many have signed up so far? 13. Okay, what is our goal? 20. You're already in. That's what I'm talking about. Who else is already in? 1, 2, 3, 4. All right.
So we're first year giving away a $500 check. Our goal is to give away 2 $500 checks, one from each event.
We need 7 more people.
Yes.
I'm also providing pizza that night, where, well, it doesn't have to be pizza, Alan will tell me what we're gonna order. Lobster. No, lobster. These things, so you can give lobsters working. Anyways, and then they changed it. All right, May 29th, we're gonna do 3 to 5 here at the Market Center here in Roseville, and 5 to 7 in Vadnais. Now, tell me, can they participate the whole time?
You're signing up for one of those nights.
Okay.
To have your call into one of those 2-hour blocks. And then just as a reminder, the grant was nice enough to basically give a reimbursement, a drawing to one coaching agent and one non-coaching. Where did you do that drawing next week? So you have to do this event for free.
We are
making what, $8,500, $9,000?
That's what I was gonna say. How many of you do a transaction you fight for an opportunity or a reason to call somebody? If you need a reason to call somebody or need them to have a reason to call you, guys, it's $50. The easiest form of lead gen that you're gonna do, and you're gonna do it together, and one of your clients is having an opportunity, and you're gonna get something to eat. So this sounds like the trifecta of reasons why you're gonna show up, right? Okay. Do we scan out the QR code? Because I see all your phones scanning as well. Okay. I want you guys to be able to walk. All right. I'll trust that you guys all scanning it, and we're gonna be at 20 by the end of lunch today, right? All right, anything else? All right, one more thing. Make it, if you get a chance, just give Linda some love. We are definitely sad that she's leaving. And that, you know, this is just a really good opportunity for us to say how much we appreciate her, to go have some lunch. Great North Title brought us, brought you guys some chips and salsa. It's a different company.
Oh, okay.
They bought tequila, margaritas, and some chips and salsa and something. So you guys have fun today. Go pick your man to help people. Hey, you guys. Yeah.